channel. I am Crystal Lee, and today's video is going to be about, can married people take advice from single people? And I'm going to answer this question with my husband. He's going to share his opinion and perspective, and I'm going to share mine. This question came about because we were listening to Chris Brown's song, honestly, and in one of the lyrics he mentioned that his girl was taking advice from her single friends, which she shouldn't do because her single friends ain't got no man, and it's like that's a red flag alone. And I instantly thought, like, do I agree with that? Do I think that you cannot take advice from single people if you're married, or if you're in a relationship? Can you take advice from your single friends? Can you bring a towel out there? Thanks. And my opinion, I don't know if I want to let my husband go first or if I should just share my opinion. I need to get a towel to wipe this sweat off. Alright, I'm ready when you're ready, babe. So I've already introduced the topic and mentioned that my husband, Deron, is going to share his opinion, and he's going to share his perspective of why he thinks it's a yes or a no. So, should married people take advice from their single friends, or people that's not in a relationship or not married altogether? Because technically, if you're not married, you're single. What do you think?
I think you can take advice from people um, because they're just giving you a perspective. They're just giving you a point of view. We think the way we think, and it's always good to get other people's point of view and perspective on things. I don't think necessarily because you're not married don't mean you never been in a relationship, or that don't mean you don't know how to treat nobody, or that don't mean you don't know what it takes to keep someone. People are single for a lot of different reasons. So, with that being said, I just think that people can give you pointers or tips, or you may have an argument with your mate, and you may have a single friend just say, "Well, I know y'all argue, but why don't you try this, or why don't you try that?" You know. So I don't necessarily think that they can't give you advice, on a relationship or what it takes to keep somebody or whatever. Like,
Or to fix a situation?
Yeah, I think you can have a perspective on it. And just because you're not with nobody at the moment, shit, I mean, most people, for the most part, people have relationships throughout their life. So whether it was for a year, whether it was for a month, like, people have good advice. People can give you tips on what to do in, certain situations. So as long as it's good information, I can listen to it. Good information versus not so good information.
The good information mean leaving the person? Like,
it depends on the situation. Like, if a person gives you, if the situation comes and it's like you're talking about it and they say leave. Well, if it's a toxic situation that you should leave, then that's good advice, whether it's coming from a single person or a person involved with someone.
Okay. Well, thank you, babe. Listening to your perspective is definitely good, and I think you gave a good perspective. I think you gave good advice, a good point, and you said yes and was able to back it up, with good reasoning. And my perspective is, I think you can, as a married person, take advice on how to make corrections in your marriage, or whatever, from a single person, but it's to an extent, like, because it's a line that you have to draw there, period, what you put out there about your marriage. Like, every single thing, every issue that's going on in your marriage shouldn't go outside your household. That's number one. So it's like the person that you ultimately need to talk to and confide in and get advice from is the person that you got the issue with, which is your spouse. So, you know, that's number one. And then number two, taking advice from a single person, no, it's not always the best decision. And something picking off of something you said, like you should know if it's good advice.
Right.
And good advice is not necessarily just saying that person is supporting everything you saying. Like if you feel like the person wrong, then they feel like the person wrong.
Right.
If you feel like the person right, they feel like the person right. But you gotta know if you have a situation with your spouse and that person is telling you to leave your spouse, or that person is encouraging inappropriate behavior or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And
that goes back to the people you keep around you.
Right.
Like you have negative people, you know, around you, and
right.
if you're in a situation, they may encourage negative behavior or negative, you know, backlash.
Right.
Versus a person who, you know, is a pretty even thinker.
Right.
You know.
And you should, like I said, you should be able to catch it, because at the end of the day, what goes on in your marriage, again, is what goes on in your marriage, and the issues that you vow to work through. A single person ain't got to work through them, so they can easily tell you to go do this or go do that, or not to do this or not to do that, because they vow to work through these things. So again, I think my answer is yes, but to an extent. You have to make sure that single person is a solid person. And again, like you said, just because they're single in status, that doesn't mean that they don't have the mentality to work through situations and issues, you know, because everyone's different. They might be a lot like have a lot of similarities with your spouse, with characteristics and decisions that they make. So it's good to hear like a person from their standpoint, like what were you thinking, you know, to understand the person you with more. So, yeah, I think we kind of both agree in a lot of ways. You know, we can put it however we want, but I think it's good. It's not good, but I think you can. I think you can take advice from a single person if you're in a relationship, if you're married. You just have to make sure that that person that is providing you with this information or suggestions, or whoever you're venting to, is a good person. Right, that actually cares about your unity as much as you do, the existence of it is, and respect it also as much as you do. And then two, I think I have a but. This is my but. Just because they give advice, that you shouldn't go to different people outside your marriage for advice. Period. Whether they're single or married or not, you should go to the person you have the issue with to resolve whatever you can, and that's your spouse, which would be a married person. So that's all. Anything else? All right. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you comment below, like this video. I'm going to put all my social media information in the description. And if you have another topic that you would like for me to discuss, feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you.